Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Citizens of the Stars, our weekly show where we highlight some of the amazing content from our Star Citizen community. Let's hand it over to Tyler Witkin and see who he's chatting with for this week's Citizen Spotlight.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another installment of Citizen Spotlight, where we take a moment to highlight the incredible contributions made by you, the Star Citizen community. Now joining us this week is Carmola, or Chris, one of the organizers who planned and coordinated an annual community organized event called BritizenCon. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you very much.
So let's start off with the basics. What is BritizenCon?
Okay, BritizenCon is an annual UK Star Citizen fan organised convention. The idea originally came about a few years ago as a sort of big pub meetup, but when we actually got to doing it, we thought we'd try and give people a bit more incentive to go. So we added in a couple of panels, one with devs from Foundry 42 and one with YouTubers and streamers.
That's awesome. So how long does planning an event like this take?
A very long time. For the first event, we were working on it for about 6 months. For the event that's just gone, I started in September, so that was about 8 months, and we've already started working on next year's event, so that will be about a year in the planning.
That's pretty impressive. Now, what would you say is your most memorable moment?
So when you're organizing an event, you don't actually really get to experience the event. You're more sort of looking after the running of it and everything that's going on. So my most memorable moment is not actually from the event itself, and it's from just before the first event, when out of the blue I was contacted by Brian Chambers, who sent me a message on Twitter and asked if he could come along to the event. And my immediate response was, well, was this a trick question? Of course you can come. And Brian has been very supportive of our efforts, and he's come to both events. So that's been very good.
Good old Brian Chambers. So last but certainly not least, is there anybody else you'd like to give a shout out who may have been involved or helped coordinate this event?
We have quite a large team organising this event. You can't do this sort of thing by yourself or just with one or two of you. So there's a core team of 5 of us, and that's me, Matt, Darren, Charlotte and Wayne. And on the day itself, we have about a dozen other volunteers, and they all help making sure that it runs smoothly.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule and coming and chatting with me. And for those of you who may have missed watching BritizenCon live, you can check out all of the highlights, panels, and more over at britizencon.uk. Now, let's find out what's going on this week in Star Citizen.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Quantum Questions, where we take a CIG developer, put them on the hot seat, and make them answer as many questions from you, the Star Citizen subscriber, as they can in under 2 minutes. Our guest on this week's Quantum Questions is none other than senior producer here in the LA studio, Mr. Eric Chiron Davis. Eric, how you doing, man?
Wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How many questions do you think you're going to get?
170,000.
That's impressive.
Is that high? Is that too high?
That's impressive. I believe you can do it.
Expectations.
All right, let's go ahead and put 2 minutes on the clock and begin. What is your name and what do you do?
My name is Eric Chiron Davis. I'm the senior producer here in Los Angeles.
What are you working on right now?
Scheduling, working on scheduling.
All right. What is your favorite ship in the game?
The 890 jump.
All right. Define bumps as the production schedule foretold.
Pass.
When is the 300 series revamp going to happen?
We are aiming to get to it towards the end of the year.
Right. Once upon a time I was falling in love, now I'm only falling apart. There's nothing I can do.
But a total eclipse of the heart.
All right. Will insurance operate differently or be voided for known criminals?
I don't have much information, but we did kick off that off last week and expect some more, maybe a segment on that in the future.
Right. Will we be able to take our dragonflies to the moon in the cargo bay of our ships in 3.0?
We're hoping.
Yes, we are. All right. What was the final decision for space whales? Has the concept and schedule been approved?
I think the last person said we're going to cut them, so I think they've been cut because of you.
All right. Han Solo or Malcolm Reynolds?
Han Solo.
All right. What joystick setup are CIG developers using every day?
Pass.
Right. What feature of 3.0 do we have no idea is coming?
What?
It's on the thread, man.
A special one.
It's on the thread.
A special one.
All right. If you were on a deserted island with the rest of CIG, who would you eat first and why?
What?
These are the ones people are voting for in the thread. man.
First, Sean Tracy, but
Good
not
answer.
his brain.
All right. Will the Ursa rover have mining capabilities?
Pass.
All right. Who is your? Oh, actually, we're out of time. Congratulations. Good job. Good job, Eric Davis.
Thank you.
And so Eric Davis goes on the board with a total of 10 questions answered correctly. He'll go on to compete against other developers in the CIG Quantum Questions Championship. Of course, remember, you can submit your questions for consideration in each episode of Quantum Questions by submitting them in the appropriate thread in the Subscribers Den. So for Quantum Questions, I'm Jared Huckabee. Let's throw it over to Alexis and find out what's happening this week in Subconscious.
Hello, subscribers. Alexis here for another edition of Subconscious, the mini show hidden inside Citizens of the Stars. The big news is that it's our time to reveal the second space station holo model. This time around, our talented Flare artisans have created a historical space station. It's called Icarus 1, originally located in the Sol system, and much like the Zeus which we shared very early on, it's part of humanity's first steps into the galaxy. There's more Defender art in the vault. As you can tell, we produced a lot of concept work for this one. We wanted to be sure that the look and functionality was right, not just for the ship, but for all future Banu ships. So get hyped, Merchantman Commanders. Last up, stay tuned next week for a new issue of Jump Point. It will be talking about a ship that doesn't exist. And with that, stay happy and keep watching the stars. I'll see you in the den.
Hey everybody, Community Manager Jared Huckabee here with this week's Top 5 and MVP. Let's get to it. Number 5, a pair of cool wallpapers from the Titan. Space can be a dark and dreary place, so I have a soft spot for those who introduce a little color to the proceedings, and the retro flair is right in my wheelhouse. Number 4, the addition of our enhanced camera controls has yielded a non-stop display of citizen talents, and this week we've got 2 videos to showcase. The first is the latest video from Sonic Temples called A Good Friend, and it's the follow-up to a previous video we highlighted here called The Shuttle. If you like the first one, be sure you give this one a look. Number 3 is another citizen that's no stranger to the top 5. Utho Riley is back with another original composition with a swashbuckling theme for Drake Interplanetary. Utho always brings the goods, and this is one of my favorites yet. Number 2 is a video shared to me by none other than the chairman himself. The Dream by Gizzymoo86. I just said Gizzymoo out loud. Is an inspiring look at what Star Citizen means to so many. It's up on the hub now. Check it out. Thanks, Gizzymoo86. Gizzymoo. And finally, number 1 and this week's MVP goes to, I should learn how to pronounce these ahead of time, Ayanar Ryatsala, we're just going to call him Big JR, with his mind-blowing GSX R-Tex replica that made an appearance at last weekend's BritizenCon fan event. Now, players should recognize this suit dispenser from the airlocks on Port Olisar, and while many citizens work to bring Star Citizen to life each and every day, Big JR completely succeeded. So congratulations, citizen, you're this week's MVP.
Well, that's all for this week's show. A big thanks to special guests Carmola and Eric Kyron Davis. And remember, if you want a chance of having your own content being featured on Citizens of the Stars, you can do so by submitting it at our Community Hub. I'll see you in the verse.
Hi
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.